Now let's enjoy our last train visit ever, simply because of things that will happen in this very episode. Now then, it's not the first time I've taken the train. I don't think it's the first time I show you taking the train, but anyways, let's revise. He's going to ask a few general questions. I don't know if elves can travel in trains. I've never rolled an elven character before. If anyone has ever rolled, please write in the comments if you are allowed into the caboose, or if you are allowed to ride, or you have to go into the mage's caboose. I remember my first mage, that the moment he learned how to cast a few of the high-level spells, he was forbidden from ever riding the train. Thank God one of those high-level spells was teleportation. Now then, first things first, when you get to Ashbury, is to run like hell to the docks if you want to get one of the best party members. I won't spoil who it is, but I'm sure everybody knows already who I'm talking about. Now then, why do I say that's one of the best fighters? It's one of the best fighters in retrospect. He only levels up his fighting skill, melee dodge, strength, and dexterity. He can only put points in those, and it never gets sidetracked. So he's the one that achieves his peak faster than any other fighting-oriented character in game. And here's me forgetting where the party member is right now. It happens. Arcanum is quite a big thing. Now then, there's the worthless money. And our first action. Now, the best thing about the dog is that it doesn't take up one of your party member slots. In other words, the number of NPCs that can follow us based on our charisma is unchanged, since the dog acts as a permanent guest rather than as a permanent party member. At least that's how the game understands its presence. Now, I leveled up my charisma a little bit just as an insurance and towards this next quest. Believe it or not, solving this local politics issue takes intelligence rather than charisma. Charisma is there only in case you make the wrong choices. Then you can get by it without much consequence. I guess if you sell a bad idea good enough, it still sells. I'm taking my time picking the answer, not because I forgot which one was the right one, but because sometimes it gets, yes, just like that, finicky with when I chose. Again, the so-called smart choices appeared based on your intelligence level. And I always found it hilarious, the reaction modifier right now. Well, some people are into that, I guess. Now, the Orator of Ashbury is a prerequisite to be the master of persuasion. At least it will make sense along down the road. I think in 30 or 40 episodes right now. Now then, next to the apothecary's house are the good and evil witches' houses. If you're evil, the good witch doesn't speak with you. If you're good, then the evil witch will attack you on sight. I say good and evil based on your karma level and so on and so forth. Another one of those items we won't be able to make since it requires we have items from the herbology and from the apothecary and thermatology skill trees, disciplines. Now this quest was I had to reset it a few times, mainly because the moment you step inside you are being attacked, and if you attack back, then the NPC outside, since it's in the radius of the fight, he will freak out and never talk to you again. The problem, that way you can never complete the quest, and since I'm a bit obsessive about that, I'd rather get my experience than an unmarked check in my logbook. And Stilgar proves himself to be the best man for the job right now. Even so, the Tesla road will have worked wonderful there. Mechanical arachnids are quite fierce enemies. At least mainly because they damage most conventional roads. And here is an automaton, basically a robot. And the best part is you can make one if you trade in the mechanical discipline. That armor plate is wonderful. Absolutely fantastic armor, even for someone without much adaptation to technology. By that I mean that even Virgil can wear it. It's one of the machine plate. It's one of his best armors, but well, just not to make things too easy right now. Let's just give it back. Besides, we're getting an upgrade to our armor before we leave Ashbury. It's 200 coins instead of one of the best, again, an excellent armor in the game. I won't venture to say that it's one of the best. Right now, another new party member, and this time, well, it's one of those types, like my friend.
Listen, you're bothering me. I mean, really bothering me. You're having the most unpleasant effect on my senses, madam. I can't say as I've ever seen the like of it. Repulsive, to say the least. Yes. I'd rather not wrinkle my garments over such trivial matters. I suppose I can look past your faults this one time. My name is Geoffrey Tarlondash, and who, might I ask, are you? I'm tending to my own business. That's what I'm doing. I swear the manners of the peasantry. I think you heard me just fine, madam. Now, unless you plan on becoming less of an annoyance, I suggest you leave. Really, I have little time for your insignificant drivel. Perhaps you're not as ignorant and as bland as you look, stranger. You've at least the brain power to conceive an amusing response. Nicely done. You've not the barbarian upbringing I expected. Mine? Oh, the usual. Raised in Caledon, schooled in Tarrant, summers off the coast of Catan. I'm of the Fallsburg Tarondashes, if you know that sort of thing. I spent a few years in Tula among the old wizards. Bloody boring bunch of old codgers. Oh, I dabbled in the necromantic arts, mainly on the darker side. A little of this and that. I've a job waiting for me in Tarrant with one of the newer mage consortiums, if I've ever a mind to go there. Haven't you heard? Ashbury has a problem with its cemetery. Seems they've got bloody zombies just sprouting up from the ground every night, and nobody knows why. I just happened to be traveling through here on my way back to Caledon, and I thought I'd look into the matter. Well, just between you and I, there's quite a famous individual buried here in the Ashbury graveyard, a fellow by the name of Malachi Wrench, who was quite a necromancer in his time, wrote a few controversial texts, that sort of thing. Yes, I'm getting to that. I think the old chap was buried with something powerful. And whatever it is finally got out, and now every dead John and Barry in this town is coming back to dinner. Quite a good story, if that's your cup of tea. And so, I want whatever the hell is down there. And I plan on finding out just as soon as I can figure out a way to get rid of these bloody zombies. Yes, you just might be useful after all. I'd be willing to offer you 500 gold pieces for whatever is raising these zombies.
And now the Ashbury Cemetery. This place is infamous for grinding, mainly because the undead, the slow-level grunts, never stop spawning. So if you put your NPCs in the center of it, hit auto attack on, remove the turn-based system on, you can easily grind up to level 50 there if you leave it for an hour or so. Now then, that furnace is locked. Bashing the door open would only lead to a bunch of fire elementals, the worst kind of elemental, and a subpar mace. Now, why there are catacombs underneath a cemetery is beyond me. No, I'm sorry. What I mean is, why do they build the catacombs in the form of maze and then put a cemetery on top is beyond me. I don't know how many floors we have descended, but by the looks of it, I'd say that half of the time they dig up a grave, this whole place should be full of corpses. I mean corpse bodies, because they fall through. Well, you understood what I mean. But they have to add another dungeon on top. They had to put in another dungeon for the hell of it. Again, it's unremarkable. Maze, also the whole family tree of undead, and no boss. Some magical items to identify later. It's basically standard edition now. The only thing that it has got going for it is that it only has undead. The next mazes and dungeons, they are one and the same now. We'll have several types of monsters. In fact, the next dwarven colony we visit is going to be a beautiful example of a microcosmos that will shatter to pieces. Now, anyways, as I said before, the whole family tree of zombies this time, not just undead. It's there. You have the zombies and ghouls, which are just grunts. They do damage to you. Then we have the poisonous zombies that, as their name implies, poison you. In other words, they are the undead that have a status effect, which let's just call them the second tier. And finally, we have the gore guards, the enemies that can pierce through the gore guards, the enemies that can damage armor. That was Dog's stat screen. As you can see, it's a dog. It can learn any new skills, therefore all its points go into stats and fighting. That's why it's the best fighter in the game, by prematurely leveling up. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking now, since there's nothing really interesting going on for this dungeon. Let's In the next episode, I'm going to tackle with the remaining quests inside the town of Ashbury. I'm going to pick up some information about new dungeons to go, because I want to clear as much ground as I can before leaving. And then we'll advance with the plot, which right now is to, for anyone that still remembers, it's to talk to the ship captain to go to the Dread Isle, because that's where the dwarves of the Wheel clan were vanished. The dwarves of the Wheel clan were the patrons, well, so-called foster family of Gilbert Bates, the same man that hired whom the ring belonged to from the dying dwarf that decided to shave off his beard in a zeppelin crash. Boy, that was convoluted. Anyways, I'll clear up this maze, and I'll deliver the quest as promised. I won't go into details with the mage. He's a standard mage. He has spoken dialogue, but he only joins evil parties, so he is out of the question. Now then, I'll see you next episode.
What brings you back around? Yes, what is it? Really? I'm very interested in obtaining that object. I'll pay you 500 gold pieces for it right now. Thank you so much. Good day to you.